Why do Japanese women love Russian men? And of course, because they're tall. They're much taller than Japanese. But how do the moderate Japanese have fun in the adult districts? There is a blowjob bar? Yes, there are blowjob bars. What's a Japanese ghetto? Generally, this is where the homeless live. They're everywhere here. There are fights, quarrels, people shouting outside. How did the Japanese learn to make delicious steaks and perfect coffee? Our restaurant has been providing this service since it opened. How to move to the land of the rising sun without going crazy with its traditions? Here you can ask the gods for strength to get divorced. They're like 3 hunters making a wild boar run. We'll talk about this and much more in today's video. It will be very beautiful, delicious, and sometimes spicy. We have a spy video. How I tried to find out the prices from this. In this video, we'll talk about how to move to this wonderful country and adapt to the local customs. Trust me, many will surprise you. I have been to Japan many times, but it's such an exotic country that it never ceases to amaze me. I asked Russian immigrants to tell me about life in Japan. Evgeny came here 13 years ago. He knows a lot about the peculiarities of local life. How has Japan changed over the last 13 years? It's become more tolerant to foreigners. I mean, especially just before the pandemic, there was a boom in tourism, and the Japanese started to have a better attitude towards foreigners. Before, you couldn't find an English-speaking place. Now, at least in central places, there is English, there are English signs, you can choose English in the underground ticket machines. And in Tokyo, a foreigner is a common thing. For 2.5 years, Japan has been closed for tourists. They only started to issue visas again last summer. This shouldn't be very surprising, as the Japanese are obsessed with health and rules. They strictly followed all the pandemic restrictions and didn't even have to be forced to wear face masks. For the Japanese, it was a normal part of life even before the pandemic. In Japan, when you catch a cold, you wear a mask so as not to infect others. Because people here are very close to each other. There are also allergies. Many Japanese people suffer from seasonal allergies, in particular to the Japanese cedar in bloom and many other things. So in order to reduce the amount of pollen, they put on masks and special glasses. And of course, there are other reasons too. When girls don't do their makeup, they wear face masks too. And guys do it if they forgot to shave. That's not a problem for them too. In winter, face masks keep you warm. You breathe in and out warm air. How important is it to be a legal immigrant here? I just came back from South Korea and there's a huge number of people from the former Soviet Union, especially from Asia and Uzbekistan, who have been living and working there for years. There are whole neighborhoods of them. There are Pilaf and Samarkand signs and so on. And at least as far as I know, there, the illegal status is something the authorities turn a blind eye to. You can work, you can earn money. It's quite easy to find a job, and yeah, even if it's hard, physical work, like packing stuff or picking the harvest, they still hire you without any problem and then pay you in cash. Everybody knows that, and thousands of people have been living like that for years, without any legal status, but working and earning money. In Japan, everything is completely different, and there's been a lot of discussion around when people come here from Korea and get deported. They thought that Korea and Japan are the same. There was a huge influx of these people from Central Asia, especially after 2014, people who went back to Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and then decided to go to some other country. They thought that Japan and Korea are the same. They came without knowing any Japanese. They thought they were going to work illegally in Japan, but the society here is different. Here, the ordinary citizens disapprove of illegal immigration as much as the state does. I mean, it's possible to stay here illegally, but it's very difficult. People hide in small towns for a few years. They work in the fields or disassemble cars, but in the end, they leave. Because neither the system nor the society here approves of it or accepts it. Are Russian men popular among Japanese women? I don't really know about Russians, because here all Europeans are somewhat exotic. So Japanese women who, for example, studied abroad or something like that and already know foreigners, they find them very interesting. They're looking for foreign men. But then again, they have this interest. But the relationship depends on whether a Russian man can adapt to Japanese society. And do Russian girls get a lot of attention from Japanese men? Yes, all the European women do. So it's easier for girls. For girls, yes, it must be, because men think less about the future. They only look for a pretty girl. By the way, European men should study Japanese family traditions before getting married. If they don't, they may be in for a surprise, which is likely to be unpleasant. In Japan, it usually happens that after marriage, when the first child is born, the wife stops working. The man has to support her. Normally, he gives all the salary he earns to his wife, and the wife gives him the money for the month. About $200, $300 for example, as if it were the pocket money of a school child. Yep, that is, the wife has all the money and the man is giving a small amount to spend. That's why Japanese men find it convenient to marry European women. They don't take money from them. Yes, they don't know about the system. They have their money and they spend it on their own. On the contrary, the wives give money to their husbands. Now the European girls who watched my video know that they can take all the money from the Japanese men. She takes care of the budget. She circulates it, she divides the budget. For example, she decides how much we are going to save, how much we are going to spend on food and other things, and we just follow this plan. I mean, it's not like I ask her for money to go out somewhere. We have a joint account, we share it together, but she has more control of it. As far as budgeting is concerned, simply because her mind is great for that. Kirill and Sakura have been married for 4 years.
Здравствуйте, с вами Кирилл Саня и Сакура.
Hi, Kirill Haide and Sakura. They lived in Russia for a while, and after the pandemic, they moved to Japan. Kirill has no problem with the fact that his wife is the one who controls his wallet. Besides, Sakura knows not only how to count money, but also how to cook borscht. My mom taught her how to make borscht. It was very cute. Sakura came into the kitchen with a notebook to write down the recipe because in Japan, when you cook, if you need 100 grams of something, you weigh it with a scale. If you need to chop something, you're very precise. They followed the recipe to the letter. As my mom goes, well, you cut the potatoes. How many? As many as you like. It's a borscht. She loved making it the first time and she still cooks it here sometimes. Her family likes it very much. Sakura learned about Russian cuisine while living in Russia. In 2020, she came to see Kirill, but because of the pandemic, she couldn't come back in time and stayed for 2 years. Kirill and Sakura didn't have a wedding ceremony. They just went to the local registry office. By the way, the bride and groom in Japan do not have an easy life. Besides the wedding dress and a cake, they have to choose gifts for the guests. We were surprised that the bride and groom gave gifts to all the guests. They were from a street community. They were skaters. And the groom suddenly pulled out a box of trainers and gave it to a guest. We were like, what is that? And that's called a return gift. The guests usually pay 30,000 yen to attend the wedding. So it's like they pay for their place at the wedding. Well, yeah, sort of. They pay a part for the food, they pay a part for renting the place, that's all part of this gift. In Japanese culture, it's common that if one receives a gift, normally half the value of this gift should be given in return. Japanese women consider European men to be incredibly gentlemanly. At the same time, you don't have to try very hard to look like a gentleman here. Sometimes it's even a bit confusing, because you don't really do anything special. I mean, if you help fix something at home or hold a door for someone, you're already yashashi. Japanese men not only rarely show some caring to girls, but also rarely express emotion. But they're dry, not because they're rude, but rather because they're shy. Many don't enter a relationship before they're 30. It's difficult for them to talk to girls. They often find it hard to get to know girls. They find it hard to make the first step, let's put it that way. I mean, a Japanese man can date a Japanese woman and only kiss her a year later. I really know a lot of cases when couples only kiss a year later. And for Japanese, it's normal to always be on their phone. They can talk a little bit to each other and then go back to staring at their phone. Then they don't make it to the last train. It's all very accidental. And then they use the Japanese service of hourly love hotels. The other side of Japanese shyness is a giant sex industry that also has its peculiarities. For example, prostitution here is officially forbidden, but there are many exceptions. Prostitution is banned in Japan, but prostitution involves only vaginal contact. I mean, everything like masturbation, massages, putting some body parts to different holes is fine. The important thing is that there's no classic vaginal penetration, then it's all okay. Yep, that's right. So many places specialize in anything but classic sex. Yeah, that's true. It's the same with pornography. According to the law, in pornography, intimate places must be blurred. That is, if they show them, it's illegal. You're sitting on a chair, and your friend is sitting next to you, and there's a girl giving you a blowjob. Many more friends are next to you? Well, or strangers. Yes, strangers or friends. Depends on the format of the venue. It can be that there are 3 of you in these chairs. The girls do go round in a circle doing it, and they go on like that until everybody comes. And people actually go there? Yep, they do. As far as I know, for a Japanese it costs about 5,000 to 7,000 yen, and for a foreigner it's about 20,000 yen. There are separate leisure places for women. You come to this place, they give you a bottle of champagne, all these guys admire you, serve you, give you more alcohol. That's how you spend the evening. First, they can show you all the guys. You can talk to the first one, talk to the second, third, fourth, and then you can choose which guy you want to talk to. Does it actually only involve talking though? There are extra services, and these guys can start to milk Japanese women. For example, they can say, "Oh, I like this bag so much. I want to buy it so badly. Buy me this bag, please. I'm busy today, but next time I'll definitely come with you." And it can last for months or years. The Japanese girls just come to these guys, and they milk them for money. And they fall for it, they want to fall for it. They get the feeling that someone needs them. They have a good time. It's usually the Japanese women who aren't very pretty, but are lonely and rich. Also in Japan, there are a lot of anonymous love hotels, where all the service is done without a single staff. This system works in a way to avoid awkward situations. If you try to open the room, it can ask you to wait a little bit. And then once they come out, go down in the elevator and come out of the building, you can go in. It's so you don't meet your boss in the corridor. Practically, it's like a brothel system. It works in a way so the customers never see each other. Accidentally, I was able to visit such a love hotel in Kyoto. It wasn't for the forbidden pleasures, but for the content, of course. It's all for you, my friends. Here you can rent a room for 2 hours. You are in for a luxurious rest. The interiors look like Versace. There are bedspreads with golden monograms. Look at these railings. The only question is how this building appeared here. It appeared here so the people can love each other. It's not expensive. 2 hours should be enough. It costs 3,300 yen to stay in these spectacular interiors. And for 7,480 you can stay for the whole night. That's if you arrive after 9 or 10 p.m. Here you can choose your room. The rooms are simply spectacular. There are these blankets looking like they're from Versace. Everything's like Versace with gold crystal chandeliers, mirrored ceilings. Oh wow, it's all like a fairy tale. And here comes a couple. They go into this hotel. Well, to be honest, when you look at the architecture, you ask yourself, how could something like this happen here in Japan? Because it looks very, very scary. Oh wow, I can't believe it. There's some next level privacy there. You realize that you can choose the room automatically. There's no staff there. Let's go and have a look, so as not to shock the condemning gaze of an old granny at the front desk who will ask, "Are you married or not?" What's going on? Everything happens automatically. The only obstacle to this love hotel is that you need to overcome an aesthetic aversion towards the design of the entrance, because it's designed in the best traditions of Adler architecture. And if you manage to get in here, you can rent room for 2 hours to make love. Please come in, Sergey. Of course, now we're going to show us how it all works. It smells of tobacco. So there are 2 rooms free. There's room 303 and room 203. This elevator beckons with an open door. Here's how it works. You press the button, choose one of the available rooms, and the elevator doors slide open. You don't need to pay anything yet. Maybe you won't like it. We chose room 303, the more luxurious of the 2 that were available. Wow, amazing. The arrows show exactly where you need to go. Here we have room 302. This one's room 303. We're inside now. Time to switch on the lights in this so-called Temple of Love. Oh wow. Well, the first thing I've got to ask is, where's the blanket? The Versace blanket is missing. That's just not acceptable. On the flip side, there's a sink. At least you can wash up. There are 2 toothbrushes, a shower cap, and a razor. So it seems only one person is going to shave, and just a single bar of soap. What's in this chest? There's some tea. You can make yourself some tea. The bathroom is quite compact. There's a tiny bathtub that you can actually use. The whole place reeks of tobacco. It's as if you're in a smoking lounge at an airport. Here's a lighter and ashtray, which proves that smoking is allowed here. This remote controls the whole system. Lights, ventilation, so you can tweak a few things. A phone is available for calls. Over in the basket there are 2 condoms, a timer, and then there's a toilet. So cramped that it's impossible to shut the door if you're seated. So this is what the room looks like. And if this is what your life has come to, friends, and you find yourself here alone, there's an assortment of services that women offer advertised here. Providing an opportunity to find company for the evening. I wonder if they'll be here within the 2 hours you paid for this room. Some might ask, what are we going to do in this place for 2 hours? Well, to stave off boredom, there's free Wi-Fi available. So you can use it as a co-working space. Come here and get some work done. Also, one of the most peculiar features is that there's a small window down low, like in a jail, where they pass food through it. In here, if you order something, they deliver it through the window so as not to embarrass anyone. But whoever hands something through this little door will be doing it right at your genital level. They're bound to see something. There's a red light here, indicating it's occupied. And now, it's time to settle the bill, or rather, to pay for the 2 hours I've used, which will cost me $20. I'm a bit disappointed that I didn't have a Versace blanket, as I wanted to take pictures with it. There's the last room left, room 203. Also, as far as privacy is concerned, the window here is made in such a way that the person who works there doesn't see you. If you decide to go to one of the sex districts of Japan or just go to a bar, be careful. You can go to a nightclub, meet a nice Japanese girl who seems to be over 25. She takes you to a famous love hotel, which there are a lot of. You come to the hotel, spend time together, and when you leave the hotel, you're greeted by her friends. They tell you this girl is underage, ask you to show your ID, and offer 2 options. They either pretend they've never seen you for a certain amount of money. How much is that? I can give you 3 examples. It's $3,000, and twice it was $5,000. It's 300,000 yen and 500,000 yen. Of course, nightlife means alcohol. The Japanese drink a lot, but in the morning they never talk about what happened. They drink a lot, but the next day they go to work. And in the morning, nobody talks about whatever happened when they were drinking. And what happens when they drink? When they gather and go out in groups, they have work parties. Do they fight? No. They do stuff they don't want to remember. Women may dance on tables, men might hug and kiss each other, or do other quirky things, and when morning comes, everyone goes to work and no one speaks of the night's events. A significant part of Japanese culture is not just drinking, but drinking gracefully. This is why there are so many tiny bars in Japan. While a European bar is often a large, noisy and crowded place, a bar in Japan is a small place, sometimes just for a handful, where locals come to interact with the bartender in a calm environment. It's quiet, yet it's enjoyable. There were once many districts filled with traditional Japanese bars. But of course, with the city's development, where old neighborhoods and slums gave way to skyscrapers, expensive residences, hotels and restaurants, almost all of these typical Japanese bar districts disappeared. Yet, some have been preserved. And I'm about to show you what it all looks like. There are narrow streets where no cars can pass, only pedestrians and bicycles. There are a lot of signs everywhere, and while it may look sad and unkempt now, in the evening, when all the signs glow, there's a special atmosphere. The best part is that behind every door there's a small bar. There are dozens of them. In each bar, there's a small counter. Oh wow, there are people here drinking in the morning. Can you hear the noise? In each of these bars, sometimes on the upper floor reached by a steep staircase, there are people. Oh wow. I thought I'd be dead here, but no. People are drinking here in the morning. These are the vestiges of old Tokyo. These areas are disappearing. That's it, here's the modern life. They've deliberately left a district like this. What used to be slums, today has become a place of interest. Ordinary houses in the daily life of Tokyo. The most famous thing here are the bottoms with liver labels on them. They're each priced differently. Before and after a party, Japanese people invariably consume this drink. The pricier it is, the more effective it is believed to be. 1, 2, 3. This is supposed to save us headaches and hangovers tomorrow. Okay. Many may think that Japan is a unique planet, free from devices, normal to Europeans. But that's not true. However, here look, there's someone behind me selling drugs. If you're without a camera, they'll approach and offer them to you. You can have your pick of anything. Right here on the stairwell, in some corner, they'll make the transaction. Did you get... Oh, wait. We have a spy, Andre Berger. We've got spy footage of me inquiring about prices here. Are you sure you're an artist? Yes, I am. Though I don't use drugs, I drink alcohol, but I don't use drugs. It was an interesting adventure. Turns out, this too is possible in Japan. Drugs and many other illegal pleasures remain under Yakuza control. There are criminal groups, also known as the Japanese Mafia. Though outside the law, they're not as fearsome or all-powerful as in movies. Businesses here are prohibited from serving the mafia, so you can take photos because if mafia presence is detected, identified by tattoos, they will ask you to leave. Wait, what? They're treated as... Wait, here comes the legalized thief. Adored with stars, tattooed churches, portraits, and a girl in a cafe says, "No, lad, you can't be here." In the cafe it's fine, but other services, I don't know, like photo shoots, if they come to you, won't you serve them? No. We as foreigners treat everyone neutrally, we serve them, and though we recognize they're from the mafia by the number of tattoos, looking like their printed shirts, but we handle it well, because we take photos, we don't do business with them. But it's evident they're treated as lower-class individuals in Japan. Japanese people shun them and refuse to deal with them. They're feared and despised. Thus, when treated respectfully despite their tattoos, they're pleased. They appreciate being treated so well that they're not seen as third-class citizens. Another stereotype is that in prosperous Japan, there are no homeless. Just like in any country around the globe, Japan has its share of homelessness, visible on the streets of Tokyo. However, they are the most orderly homeless I have ever seen. As Japanese homeless people maintain order on the streets where they live better than many homes. Here they sit, and it's morning now, they're washing up. First and foremost, they're quite clean. Each one has a suitcase. Sometimes they secure it with a small piece of string, but usually they simply carefully leave it here on a piece of cardboard. Every item is stored meticulously, and it's very charming. Even if it's just an aged suitcase, just look at the order. It's so clean. Even the Japanese homeless live with perfect order and cleanliness, even under a bridge. As we know, the Japanese are very orderly and meticulous. Everything is clean and in its place. Yet, some things remain a mystery to me. For instance, the Japanese have a fondness for creating no man's lands. Random plots of land here and there can be seen overgrown with weeds, unkempt and neglected. Typically, the space underneath staircases is closed off with fences. At the same time, a sturdy fence is probably meant to ensure that nobody sleeps there, or to provide shelter from the rain. Honestly, it's a mystery to me. Look at this! It's an elaborate fence that costs a lot of money and it's well made. Tailored to the contour of these stairs, though its purpose is unclear. That is, if someone wants to climb over there, they can because there's a handrail and stars. Why they close it off? It's unclear, but this is the case everywhere. It's not just here. Across the street, they've closed it off with chains. But of course, since the street sweepers don't come here, we immediately notice there are weeds and leaves here. It doesn't look very nice. Moving on, and once again, there's a small plot of land next to a pedestrian bridge, and again, it's immediately filled with weeds. In a Japanese context, this looks quite odd. It's not common in Japan. In London, we would say it's a very fashionable and modern urbanism. But here is just a plot full of weeds near the pedestrian bridge. So it's very unusual, and there's lots of places like that in Japan. I found the answer to why they close up the space underneath the stairs with these nets. Often the homeless resides there. There aren't many and they're cultured and kind, but when it rains, they need somewhere to sleep. That's why underneath these areas, they can stay overnight, hence they're often sealed off, especially in the central districts to prevent any opportunity for lying down there. Tell me more about the Japanese homeless, please. There are quite a few, and they're quite decent. Usually they are those who fell on hard times during the economic crisis of the 80s and 90s, overwhelmed by loans and stuff. They're calm and respectful, often creating small dwellings near the riversides, and some even have tables, bicycles, and a few have refrigerators. But as far as I'm aware, they lack electricity. Apparently Japan has its version of a ghetto. It's a district in Osaka named Nishinari-ku, where the impoverished, former yakuza, and homeless reside. Actually, it's where many homeless congregate, surrounding the vicinity. They're simply homeless. Nearby lies a small park where they have their campsites. They reside there all year round. Also nearby, as you walk towards the center, you can see piles of rubbish. In Nishinari-ku, there's language school's dorm where Dasha resides. She recalled her initial fear, but it turned out not everything was grim. Japanese guidebooks sometimes joke that Nishinari-ku is the most dangerous district in Japan, but it's not as perilous as Wano-Ono City. I often return very late, sometimes after midnight, and in these past 9 months, I've had no trouble, no dangers whatsoever. However, being a foreigner, it's likely a factor. It's improbable for locals to bother foreign women, as the consequences for the Japanese would likely be very severe. Nishinari-ku's danger, unlike any other districts in Japan, stems from its frequent brawls and knife fights, along with constant drinking. That's the issue here. I often hear shouts from outside my window. At the same time, it's unlikely you'll find elderly women begging. To engage the elderly, Japanese authorities try to involve them in work. In Japan, it's common to find people apparently occupied with seemingly pointless tasks, like traffic police. We typically have just one traffic officer at intersections when necessary. Here in Japan, you might find 2 or 3 elderly men in uniform with batons, managing traffic all day long. It's quite characteristic of Japan, where the population is aging, with many retirees. To help these older citizens feel useful, they're offered various jobs. They may do this voluntarily as a service, like the 2 men behind me directing traffic. Even though it's clear a car only passes by every few minutes, there isn't really a need for traffic control. These elders can be found there all day long. They're often there near schools and kindergartens, where they feel like they're making a contribution. What more does a retired Japanese person needs to feel useful? You can see them at work, one directly here, another there, creating a whole system of signals and movements on streets that are practically deserted. There are no cars. Without these elders, the traffic would likely sort itself out. Sometimes you go to a shopping center and see about 5 people managing the flow. It's quite a sight. A Japanese elder directing traffic turns it into an art form, orchestrating the movement of people, cars and bicycles like a conductor. A typical scene is the entrance to an underground parking with 3 individuals and their batons assisting cars in. You might wonder why these couldn't just be one. This is their way of creating jobs out of thin air. Let's watch someone enter. There's an elder in the street, another controlling pedestrians. Here comes something, hurry, hurry. Go ahead, there's a car coming. It's like 3 hunters in pursuit of a boar, and there it is, the car arrives. That's it. It's quite amazing. Out of seemingly nothing, a simple situation becomes complicated. In any other country, there'd hardly be a need for anyone managing a parking entrance. One car enters and exits carefully, letting others pass. Why the fuss? Yet here, 3 elders in uniform spend the whole day vigorously waving their batons, each pouring their heart into the task, mastering the art of directing people and vehicles. Another common belief about Japan is that it's a land filled with cutting-edge technology, robots, and flying cars at every turn. Indeed, many genuine innovations originate here. However, the Japanese often take time adapting to new things and can struggle to let go of old habits. The pandemic brought a revelation that working remotely without spending an hour in transit was possible. And now, many continue to work from home even after restrictions have lifted, reshaping their principles. For example, they're letting go of personal seals. In Japan, the personal seal carries more weight than handwritten signature. The pandemic helped them recognize that in some cases, a signature can suffice. It used to be that people had to travel just to stamp a document, taking a train and potentially exacerbating the spread of the virus. And then there's the fax machine. The Japanese have begun to realize its obsolescence, as I'm still occasionally asked by public institutions if I have a fax or can send documents by fax. And I have to say, I don't own one. For instance, if you work in a shop and need to order stock, or you run a restaurant and need to get ingredients, you typically do it by fax. By fax? You have a fax? Yes, they believe faxes are still commonplace. You have a fax at home? Not every home has one, but many do. Wait, so you do have a fax? Yep, we have a fax at home. You see what I mean? The meticulous nature of the Japanese isn't just a stereotype. Even after 13 years, Evgeny finds it challenging to adapt. They have a guide for everything, straight from the script, and they're at a loss because they're not instructed otherwise. Say there's a drink with lemon and a tea without, but you want lemon in your tea. They might refuse because it's not specified in their guidelines. Yep, I've experienced this. I once visited a Blue Bottle cafe, not the big one, but a little coffee stand, which had a limited menu, offering only lattes. Meaning a lot of milk, little coffee. So they would make a cappuccino or a flat white, which is essentially a stronger latte with half as much milk. And they go, "We don't have flat white on the menu," even though the barista knows what it is. It's just not listed in this specific branch. "We don't have it on the menu," she went. "Can you just charge me for a latte and use less milk?" I've suggested. "No," she replied. "What about the leftover milk? I have to pour it out." We went back and forth for about 5 minutes. I suggested, "Well, can I get an extra shot of espresso? Just serve me a latte, I figure to work around. If you can have the milk, then double the espresso for me." "No, that's not possible." "Alright, may I have an espresso and a latte? And pour it into one glass?" "No." "Do it yourself, yeah. I can prepare you an espresso and a latte that you can mix whatever you want." I never managed to get her to make the drink exactly as I wanted. In Japan, the rules apply uniformly to everyone. Whether you're an ordinary worker or the mayor of the city, behind a wall you can hear applause. It's for the resignation of Tokyo's previous mayor. Yes, that's right. He resigned because he used his official car for trips between his office and his country home, and sometimes from his home to his country residence. He claimed he worked in his car and at his country home, but Japanese law prohibits a mayor from using a state car for private travel between homes. Perhaps he hadn't cleared it with his driver, who ended up reporting him. Not even the Japanese emperor can abdicate without a change in the law. 3 years ago, for the first time in 200 years, an emperor of Japan abdicated. By law, he was supposed to keep his title until death, but the law was changed for Emperor Akihito in 2019. He passed the title to his son, Naruhito. Now we are at Tokyo Station, awaiting the Emperor's caravan. I read in the news that today he's heading to Hyogo Prefecture to attend some competitions for 4 days. Not to compete himself, but as a spectator. Does the Emperor travel by train in Japan? Yes, his caravan is on its way here. He boards a train and traverses Japan exclusively by rail. For international journeys he flies, but domestically it's all by train. Here comes the caravan now. Here comes the security. They're in a peculiar Subaru with something strange on it. The traffic at Tokyo Station was halted for the arrival of African dignitaries. There's the security and other personnel. We thought it'd be the Emperor, but no. That's it. The cars are driving away. These are the Emperor's guests, the cause of the earlier traffic disruption. Next, we're off to Kyoto. This time, Sergei has invited me to a religious ceremony dedicated to his son, essentially his introduction to the temple. We present the child to the gods, who then acknowledge and bless him, marking his acceptance as a society member. From this moment, his human life is officially recognized. Before the ceremony, he is considered not fully human. The ceremony includes a donation to the temple for their service for the ceremony of this first visit. How much do you have to donate? As much as you like. We're expected to receive something at the ceremony's end, hence they're giving us the bags. Are these gifts? Yes. The gifts are the temple's way of gifting back. If you give something, it's expected that you'll receive something in return. And the temple has given us this congratulations certificate. We'll see what it is when we get home. It's likely to include the child's name. And with that, that's it. Congratulations! The simple ceremony concludes. In Japan, Buddhism is prevalent, and it's not uncommon for someone to adhere to two religions. A temple complex might feature both Buddhist pagodas and Shinto shrines. Behind me is one of Kyoto's main attractions and most renowned sites, the Kiyomizu-dera Temple Complex. Established in 1778, the current building dates back to 1633. It's an exquisite spot to watch the sunset, the ascent here. Though challenging past numerous souvenir shops rewards you with breathtaking views of Kyoto. Pagoda and gates shine brilliantly in the sunlight, offering incredible beauty. Additionally, due to the nearby road and heavy tourist traffic, you'll find traffic officers in blue uniforms directing pedestrians whenever a vehicle needs to pass. I love their uniform. Each temple is dedicated to a specific deity. Chosen based on the devotee's particular concerns or wishes. They choose the temple they need and perform the required ritual. What's going on here? This is the place sought out by those looking to harness divine assistance for a difficult divorce. The belief is that a spiritual power can ease this process. So these two guys have such strong feelings that they can't cope with, that they're going through this hole to be able to divorce. Excuse me, is this the place for separation? Yes, it is. And now you're about to perform the ritual. Yes, we will. Me and him. You need to pay 100 yen, write your wish on a piece of paper, affix it, and then pass through the hole. And will that initiate a separation? Yes. It's meant to end a bad relationship. Is it necessary for both parties to participate? No. I'm not referring to our relationship. It can be done solo, concerning a bad relationship with someone else who isn't present. Understood, thank you very much. There is a belief that if you come here already in a relationship, you might end up severing ties with your current partner instead of the intended person. They're likely to part ways, but I'm not sure how it works exactly. I see. So you specify who you wish to separate from, make a payment. So you make a donation, specify who you want to divorce, and then undergo the process. That's correct. For a more solemn ritual, it costs between 6,000 and 30,000 yen. With 30,000 yen, you could buy quality sake to ease the separation. Sake itself is a divine force. Often the desire to let go isn't just about people but also can relate to things, like gambling addiction. So people who are addicted to something can undergo this ritual for the gods to help them. So you state your issue, pay, clap your hands, ring the bell, and the local deities assist in distancing you from negative influence. And your bad habits? Yes. This includes overcoming vices. It's a fascinating temple. It features numerous colorful little bags, which are actually monkeys. These bags are fashioned into monkeys with 4 limbs, symbolizing our desires. They represent how we, like monkeys jumping from branch to branch, crave everything and often lack control. So at this temple, you can symbolically tie down your monkey to curb uncontrolled desires, your problems, constant shifts in priorities, and more. You can just come here, make a proper wish, tie your monkey, and everything will be okay. It's a place where you can calm your inner turmoil and take lovely photos with these monkey figures in the backdrop. What's the name of the temple? It's called Kushindo. Established in 1960, it's now over 1,000 years old. Kushindo is among Kyoto's most photogenic spots, constantly bustling with people, capturing the vibrant monkeys. Yes, it's very bright. The three wise monkeys of Nikko, embodying see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, are also represented here, allowing visitors a touch of Nikko without the travel. In Japan, rituals and ceremonies extend beyond the religion and temple confines. They even celebrate coffee ceremonies amidst a specialty coffee boom. The Japanese approach to coffee, meticulous as ever, elevates its preparation to an art form. Among Kyoto's most renowned coffee roasters is Mr. Kaneko, whose cafe, Weekender's Coffee, enjoys fame not just in Kyoto, but nationwide. His coffee is used in many coffee spots in Tokyo and other cities. Kaneko is renowned not just for his coffee production and roasting, but also for creating his own coffee ceremony, complete with specialized coffee utensils. He developed various coffee-making tools. Just as the tea ceremony has its unique set of tools and rare traditions, Kaneko has introduced a similar reverence for coffee. He crafted his own cups and specialized items that enhance the enjoyment and meditative aspect of the coffee ceremony. Many Japanese have won awards in international barista championships, specialty coffee, and latte art competitions, making Kaneko a well-known figure in Japan's coffee scene, though not all have had a chance to witness his work firsthand. The layout of his coffee shop is intriguing. Coffee is prepared indoors and then guests are encouraged to enjoy their beverages in a beautifully maintained Japanese courtyard. To discourage prolonged stays, the seating is deliberately less comfortable. However, the courtyard itself is adorned with exquisite plants, where every stone and spring has its place, waiting for you with your drink. It's a charming spot that justifies a visit for the coffee experience alone. Even in the air conditioning units have been thoughtfully disguised to blend in with their surroundings, demonstrating the meticulous attention to detail. This straw fence keeps it all looking nice. There's something similar here but with the electricity meters. They hid it behind this structure and it looks nice. Let's delve into Japanese coffee culture. Japan stands as a leading country for coffee enthusiasts, which is remarkable given that it's not a coffee-producing nation. The Dutch first introduced coffee to Japan in the 19th century, but it wasn't initially embraced due to the prevailing tea culture and coffee's bitter taste. They didn't want to buy it. Then they have new beans, but still, they weren't big fans of it. It wasn't until World War II that coffee began to gain popularity, although supply interruptions during the war made coffee a forgotten luxury until the 1950s. Then coffee began its gradual return. Yet the real twist came with a uniquely Japanese innovation that propelled coffee to newfound popularity across the nation. In 1969, a local entrepreneur introduced canned coffee, a pre-made coffee beverage in cans, catering to the Japanese on the rush to work. In Japan, where everyone seems perennially in haste, rushing here and there, the convenience of canned coffee in a place where everyone's in a rush and has no time for these fancy cafes was an instant hit. It rapidly became a national sensation, leading to a significant increase in coffee consumption. Today, the Japanese drink twice as much coffee as tea, a significant shift from the past when tea was the undisputed favorite. Today, coffee is twice as popular as tea, but coffee's victory over tea isn't Japan's only innovation. Canned coffee is now ubiquitous, available at every corner through vending machines that offer both cold and heated options. Its popularity persists, but the Japanese didn't stop there. They went on to invent drip bags in the 1990s, a concept that has only recently started to make its way to Europe and Russia, gradually beginning to capture these markets. However, in Japan, drip bags are everywhere. Having spent over a week traveling here and staying in 5 different hotels, I've noticed that each one provides a kettle, tea bags, and invariably filtered coffee from drip bags. Every reputable coffee shop stocks drip bag coffee, which is immensely popular among the Japanese. Today, Japan's coffee industry is reaching new heights, driven by the nation's inherent perfectionism. This commitment to quality and innovation has cemented coffee's place in Japanese culture, transforming it from a foreign import to a staple of daily life. Today, Japanese baristas and roasters are winning international championships, with Japanese names increasingly visible in the global coffee industry. I find myself at a Blue Bottle, an American coffee chain that ranks among the best worldwide. In my opinion, it's one of the best coffee chains. While there are exceptional standalone coffee shops, for a chain where quality is consistently reliable, Blue Bottle stands out. Its founder was inspired to pursue high-quality coffee after visiting Japan in the early 2000s. Observing Japan's coffee culture and industry, he returned to the US, established Blue Bottle, and after making a mark in the US, returned to Japan in 2015, where Blue Bottle also gained popularity. Now you can find Blue Bottle in many Japanese cities, showcasing the Japanese knack for innovation in coffee. There's an abundance of coffee here with fascinating varieties of beans. The key is the proliferation of coffee shops, from major chains to quaint local spots. So if you're in Japan, immerse yourself in the coffee scene. Amazing. Another important moment. The Japanese, true to their perfectionist nature, have embraced the specialty coffee movement, which focuses on high-quality, artisanal, and often single-origins coffees. This third wave of coffee has thrived thanks to Japanese innovation in coffee brewing equipment. Many of the tools used by coffee professionals globally, including the renowned Hario brand, known for its V60 coffee dripper, originate from Japan. Hario has become so iconic that in some places, asking for a Hario means requesting coffee brewed using their dripper. But it's actually a brand name, not a method name, when these filters are put on the top of the cup. The founder of Blue Bottle was so inspired by Japan's meticulous approach to coffee brewing, particularly the slow pour-over method, that he integrated it into his cafes back in the US. This embrace culture was reintroduced to Japan with a new twist. We've discovered a unique coffee shop located near the Emperor's Palace with a Shinto shrine. Here, one can partake in a coffee ceremony and savor rare coffee varieties. Uniquely, the water used doesn't come from the city's water supply, but from a spring within the temple. Kyoto is home to 3 famous spring water sources, one of which is situated in this shrine. This is where I get the water from. The other 2 no longer function, so this is the water from the remaining spring. I use water and ice exclusively from this spring. All coffee I prepare for you today will be from spring water. Historically, when Kyoto housed the Emperor's court, this spring water was utilized for the court's needs, including tea preparation. You could say the coffee is prepared with sacred spring water. Yes, almost. What's this? They've provided us with some papers for the upcoming coffee ceremony. Yes, and what's this? It's not traditionally called a coffee ceremony now, but rather a specialty coffee course. Today, it includes a unique offering, a Chinese coffee. Yes, Chinese coffee. The label details the altitude at which the coffee was harvested, its medium roast level, anaerobic fermentation process, and its origin. Intriguingly, it's processed using pu'er tea techniques. The Chinese coffee beans are quite rare. Yes, they are. Where are they produced? Chinese Yunnan province, a region also renowned for its tea production. Japan has a long-standing tradition of coffee shops, known as kiseten. These establishments were cultural hubs for intellectuals and creatives, serving as gathering places for its communication. This tradition dates back to roughly 100 years ago, marking Japan's initial foray into adopting Western culture. Kyoto also had several kisaten, contributing to the city residents' fondness for coffee. Over time, especially about a decade ago, specialty coffee started gaining traction in Japan. What's the everyday coffee for Japanese folks? Predominantly, it's Colombian medium roast and Brazilian dark roast filter coffee. This refers to the brewing method involving a funnel. No, I mean a coffee drink, because let's say the iced Americano is popular in South Korea. In Japan, filter coffee reigns supreme. What's fascinating here is the setup allowing customers to sample various beans. There are containers of different beans next to cups of coffee made from those beans. You're invited to pour yourself a sample to decide which flavor suits you best before they brew a full cup for you. I frequently visit a fantastic coffee shop, been here over 200 times to date. Opening 11 years ago, it was among the first in Kyoto to offer specialty coffee. Sentida. Yes, sentida. Borrowing from Spanish, it relates to life and freshness. On a different note, since Japan lacks public trash bins, and it's amazing if you find one, shops responsible for generating waste must also manage it. If you've purchased consumables like sandwich or bottled water, you're expected to return the waste to the shop for proper disposal. This includes returning used coffee cups for recycling, a practice we're about to follow. This is what the cup looks like. I've given him the cup, he took it, and the cafe will dispose of it. It's time for us to move on to explore sake, a stronger drink. Sake is intriguingly served with an overflow. Oh, actually, can you tell me, what does it mean when it says 60%? 50%? Does it indicate by how much the rice grain was reduced or how much left? Yes, so 50-60% reduction means about 40%, 50% of the grain remains. The quality of sake is influenced by the extent to which the rice has been polished. The higher the polish percentage indicated on the bottle, the pricier the sake. Yes, what's the maximum percentage to which grains are polished? For the most premium and costly sake, rice grains can be polished down by up to 80%, so they leave only the core, which is then used to brew the sake. Yes, the more the rice is polished, the more extraneous flavors are removed, allowing the sake's intrinsic taste to shine through. Moreover, the Japanese have mastered the art of winemaking from various fruits. The country's most esteemed winemakers often have disciples of equal renown. Managing to secure a bottle from their cellars is considered fortunate. The wines discussed here hail from the mine Atsushi Suzuki, an apprentice of Soga Takahiko, Hokkaido's most legendary producer of natural Japanese wines. Takahiko set out to craft a Pinot Noir that surpasses those from Burgundy. Did he do it? He's getting there. We'll see. Getting his wine is very difficult. That's why we're enjoying wine made by his apprentice. So these two wines are made by his apprentices. The rabbit and the turtle are made by apprentices. Sergei, who trades in gourmet wines, leverages his extensive network within the city's top restaurants. This is invaluable in Japan, where securing reservations in renowned establishments is notoriously challenging. We circumvent direct booking methods, instead utilizing various strategies to gain access. Talk to owners, chefs, communicate with the personnel, often achieving what a typical hotel concierge cannot. When do you have to book the most sought-after dining experiences? 6 months in advance. 6 months in advance? Yes. You're joking. No, I'm serious. Some naughty people in the tourism industry, in the touristy sector, even run auctions for restaurant seats. They offer a seat to someone who is willing to pay the most. And in the most exclusive restaurants, like for example Sushi Saito or others, like maybe for example Saiko in Kyoto, a dinner can escalate to costs between 3,000 to 5,000 per person. As someone who enjoys fine dining, I asked Sergei to show me the most interesting restaurants in Kyoto. But we'll start our culinary tour at a place I'm already familiar with. Friends, this is the logo of Kyoto's main steakhouse, known for its superb meat. I've been here several times before. It's called Kuishinibo Yamanaka, named after the glutinous Yamanaka. My last visit was in 2018. 4 years ago. Since then, my sticker here has remained in place, untouched by anyone. Let's go inside. Come along. The chef is 72 years old, and the restaurant 47 years old. He still works in the kitchen by himself. There's the chef and his assistant placing the meat there, true to himself. This is how he served the steak. Here at the entrance are the magazines they feature him in. They serve it just as it appears here. A perfect cut, served from different sides. Then he adds the garlic, some carrot. The owner has been preparing his famous steak since he was 26. He insists that crafting the perfect steak requires attention to many details, from correctly cutting the meat to the precise frying temperature. You must know how to cut the meat, removing the veins and slicing it in a way that will look good. Also, when preparing dishes, it's vital to stick to the basics. If we have all the right ingredients and it's cooked correctly, it will surely be tasty. But all that doesn't matter if you don't start with perfect raw materials. Of course, when I first opened the restaurant, I was young and inexperienced. But now I believe the most important aspect is the meat. It's crucial to have a proper understanding of the product you're selling. You've told me before, but is it from a cow or a bull? It's from a cow that has born offspring. In Japan, beef is only consumed if it's not used for breeding. That's impossible in other countries, because once the cow is eaten, it won't produce anything else. For example, in France, when a cow has offspring, if it's a male, they're slaughtered young. If it's a female, they're used for breeding. After the cow has 3 calves, it's processed for meat. Thus, they consume cows that have had offspring multiple times. In Japan, they only consume cows that have never had offspring. What age do they slaughter them? The perfect age is 38 months. Initially, for 8 months, they feed on mother's milk and graze. Then for 6 months, they receive coarse fodder to help develop their internal organs. 8 plus 6 equals 14. They're often fed for 24 more months, making a total of 38 months before they're slaughtered. How much does a kilo of the good meat cost? A kilo costs between $300 and $370. To put it simply, there's a lot of expensive meat that doesn't necessarily taste good. Only genuine meat has the real taste. Vitamin Control produces beautifully marbled meat, which is sold at high prices, but this meat doesn't taste good. Can you tell if the meat is good or bad just by looking at it? Yes. How can you tell? Are there any special signs? The key is the color of the meat. That's the right one besides the color. The fat is important. The color of the fat and its texture, the shine, the viscosity. I can tell just by looking at it. I can understand if it's good just by looking. I can tell the difference because I always use only real meat and I have a standard. It allows me to discern if the meat is good or bad. Lately, everyone talks about vitamin control. People crave high marbled meat, regardless of the cost, despite its expense. As for our restaurant, we aim to cook delicious meat. That's why it's supplied to us this way. Our restaurant has been offering this service since it opened. I keep this in mind in my work. Have you been here a while ago? Does the meat taste the same as it did then, right? I'm sure it's the same as before. Now we are heading to the next restaurant. Their chef has worked in Moscow for several years, and I couldn't help but ask what he thinks of Japanese cuisine in Russia. What good Japanese restaurants did you visit in Moscow? You surely went to some, right? What Japanese restaurant did you like most? What Japanese restaurant? Yeah. Let me think. You must have visited many places. None. It's hard to call it Japanese cuisine. But why? What's wrong with them? There's a big gap between the fisherman, the person who transports the fish, and the one who consumes it. In Japan, the fishermen put their soul in fishing. They try to bring it to the consumer as soon as possible. That's why in Japan, there are many ways to prepare the fish, because it's fresh. We can eat it raw or cook it in different ways. In Russia and other countries, too much time passes before the fish reaches the table. That's why it's not as fresh as here, and there aren't so many ways to eat it. But the black caviar in the Yusum store in Moscow, he liked it. Is there black caviar in Japan? In Japan, there are places where they grow fish just to extract caviar. But it's very different. It doesn't look like the Russian one at all. In Japan, we have salty caviar. Black caviar in Japan is salty, very salty. And in Russia, in Moscow, it's tender. It tastes nice. Why do people around the world know Japanese cuisine by Philadelphia and California rolls? Why is it like this? I think it's because the Japanese adapted their dishes for foreigners according to their tastes. The mind of the Japanese is very flexible. They try to adapt to the current conditions to survive. The Japanese have enough skills to do that. In Japan, we don't eat wild salmon raw, because this particular species contains parasites. In Japan, there is a culture of eating wild fish, but many people had diarrhea after eating this type of salmon. That's why we stopped eating it. By the way, due to the love of Japanese for wild and fresh fish, ginger was introduced to the Japanese cuisine. I always wondered why they serve ginger with sushi, but not with sashimi. Is there any reason? It's an antidote. And sashimi doesn't need the antidote? Sushi has a longer history. When you eat raw fish, there is a risk. The history of sushi is older compared to sashimi. That's why for safety reasons, it always goes with ginger, wasabi, warm tea, and soy sauce. It's today's fish. Oh, we know what it is. It's caviar, famous in Russia, Hokkaido sea urchin. This fish is pretty oily. This is a mantis shrimp. And this is a squid, already filleted. That's eel. You can eat it raw, after just burning the skins a bit. Raw sea eel. I've never tried it before, but I will now. He's just going to singe it a bit. The most important thing is that it should be super fresh. He suggested adding salt instead of soy sauce. Eat it like this, without any sauce. By the way, in this trip, I found out that I was eating sushi the wrong way all this time. You know, some people say you should put bread on the ham and not vice versa. So, sushi should also be consumed with fish facing your tongue and the rice upwards. I'll take this opportunity to tell you how to eat sushi properly. The most important thing here is Japanese wine. It is hard to find in the other countries, but if you happen to be in Kyoto, he owns a great wine store here with Japanese wines. So, how should we eat sushi? We have ginger here, we have sushi, squid sushi. We take a piece of ginger, we dip it in the soy sauce, and with this ginger, we wet the fish. Because some rednecks soak a whole sushi, dipping it in the soy sauce. In the end, the rice falls apart, everything falls apart, and the whole restaurant looks at you like you're an idiot. You have to wet it with ginger, as if it was a brush, like this. What's next? You want to grab it with chopsticks, right? Wrong. Put them down. We have fingers. We should take sushi with fingers. Wet them with a napkin, so that the rice doesn't stick to your fingers. We grab the rice, and here we have great squid sushi. The chef cut it this way, so it looks like waves here, like sea waves. And now we are all set. We can put it in our mouth. No wait, I made a mistake. How delicious, by the way. I forgot. You have to eat it with a fish facing down. So I got almost everything right, but in the end I got confused. I stumbled at the finish line. Nothing happens, even a monkey sometimes falls from the tree. Even the sun has got spots. Have you ever wondered why in Japanese restaurants they always serve sushi in pairs and sashimi in 3 pieces? I thought about it and found several versions. They do it to feel the taste better. You have a second chance to feel the taste you might have missed. With the second piece, you can feel something different. There is the phrase, the taste of the second sushi. And why do they serve sashimi in 3 pieces? When preparing dishes in Japan, we often use numbers that can be divided. Can be divided? Yeah. Numbers impossible to divide. For example, in the wedding, you can use 2 because it can be divided in half. It must be an odd number. And when you give money, you can't use 2 either. You give 30,000 or 50,000, for example. As for fugu fish, everyone knows it's poisonous, but in some restaurants you can try fugu fish sushi. As a person who tried it, I can say that it tastes like, you know, the sole of a shoe, of a rubber slipper. If you got a piece of it, put it in the rice, it will be more or less the same. It's very difficult to chew. Like a piece of rubber, it's not delicious at all. I don't understand why they eat it here. They just eat it because they enjoy the risk, since the fugu fish is poisonous. It eats various junk, like we do. And all the bad things accumulate in its liver. It's the most dangerous thing if they don't cut it correctly, and something remains, you're going to die. Very scary. And the cooks who know how to cook the fugu fish gets a special license. Only if you have it, you can cook it, but actually in restaurants where they serve it today, they raise them in captivity. Pufferfish raised in captivity don't eat poisonous seaweeds, that's why they're relatively safe. I read that the last time a human got poisoned when several people in some Japanese city ate this fish and died. But nowadays it doesn't happen because the fish they use for cooking doesn't feed on junk seaweed anymore. So if you are in Japan and you find a licensed cook to prepare pufferfish, you can try it without fear and then tell everyone that you were on the verge of death. The tastiest thing, the richest in flavor, is the liver. They say that the liver of the fugu fish is extremely delicious, and some people are willing to risk their life to try it. But if it's the liver of a fish raised in captivity that doesn't eat garbage, it will taste the same, but it will not be poisonous. So you can take the liver of a farm pufferfish and eat it, but it is necessary to check that it didn't eat any junk. But according to Japanese law, even the fugu that were artificially grown, eating their liver is forbidden. So it can only be done in exclusive restaurants, where for the chef and the guests trust each other. Only there they can serve you the fugu liver. That's how it is. If you have tried the fugu liver, please tell us. We will gladly listen to your story. Fugu is fun for tourists, but the Japanese value tuna more, literally. This fish is sold at auctions here. Adult wild tuna is especially valued. The bigger it is, the more expensive it is. 2 years ago, a fish that weighed 82 kilos was sold for almost $2 million. We arrived at a restaurant where they not only appreciate tuna, but they also know how to cook it well. There are many types of tuna. What are they, and how do you select them? The best type of tuna is hon maguro, one of the species of wild tuna. The first one is hon maguro, then mibati, kihada, and bintyo. Today I'm going to cook wild tuna from Canada. From Canada? Isn't it Japanese tuna? Isn't it from Japan? No, it will be the tuna caught in Canada. Why do they cook Canadian tuna? Don't they have tuna here? Depending on the season, it is caught in different places. Currently, it's done in Canada. Do you mainly use tuna for sushi? Yes, it's mainly for sushi. How much does the most expensive tuna sushi cost? Here it costs $15–22 each. I heard that some tuna costs $100,000 or $500,000. What do they do it with afterwards? What do you mean? Will you sell it at this price? If the tuna is purchased at this price, sushi won't cost $22 like here. It will be $222. There are several restaurants that buy such expensive tuna. That's why sellers divide it among them. This tuna weighs 3.3 kilos, but if the weight exceeds 100 kilos, the price will increase. And this is a small tuna? Yes, it's a small tuna, about 3.3 kilos. It all depends on the body of the fish, but as for the tuna, here we've got the akami. If the weight of this tuna exceeds 100 kilos, even akami will be greasy, and maguro like that will be much tastier than what I prepared for you today. A respectable sushi restaurant would only work with wild tuna, because it tastes different and you can store it for longer. It's got more muscles because it swims freely, not in an aquarium. The more the muscle mass, the richer the flavor. I took the opportunity to ask more about the mentality of the Japanese and the code of conduct in local restaurants. Know them as not to offend anyone by chance. Why do the Japanese bow to greet? Because that's what we do in Japan. It's our culture. What do you dislike about the behavior of Europeans? I have almost no experience with Europeans, but I understand that each country has its own culture, just like Japan. Japan has its own culture too. That's why I don't compare the culture of other countries with that of Japan. Surely when foreigners see the Japanese, they have questions why we act like this. But so do we. When you see people from different countries here, is there anything they do that is not natural to you? Something you're not used to? Yes, there is. For example, do they use chopsticks in a strange way? Yes, that happens, but it's not because they're foreigners. Among the Japanese, there are also people who don't know how to use chopsticks. Well, if someone asks me to tell them the rules of conduct in a restaurant, of course I can do it. But I would like the guests to enjoy the food the way they like it. If it doesn't bother the other guests. For example, one shouldn't make noise while eating. But even though these are the rules in Japan, I realize that each country has its culture. There are countries where customs are different. Why is it not common to leave tips in Japan? Yes, most Japanese don't leave tips. We don't have the culture of tips. But we are learning to do it. But do you like being tipped? It all depends on the situation and the person they tip. For example, as for me, you offered me wine today. I was flattered, and it was enough for me. The restaurants are good, but as I said, it is difficult to get there. That's why I prepared a review of street food and grocery stores for you. As for food, everything here looks yummy. I just want to eat it all. Especially when you see all these people lining up for something, eating something. Ice cream, cocktails, squid on a stick, scallops on a stick. Ah, omelets. Omelets. Here's the caviar, cookies. Here you can buy fun food. A Japanese store. What a variety. This is tea, all of it. Let's see. Frozen stuff. I don't know what it is. Frozen things. In general, everything is very exotic. For example, a micro pizza, a huge selection of eggs. Of course, a whole section of soy sauces. Rice, sugar, kimchi, in case Koreans come here. Some marinated vegetables, I guess. Oh look, you can even buy pickles. They also have a pickles in the rice husk. Bacon, meat. 100 grams costs 1,380 yen, and this is the most expensive one. 3,500 yen per 100 grams. Marbled fillet, vegetables, fruits, 600 yen per box. 3 grapefruits, 700 yen. A bag of lemons, 800. Avocados, 300 yen a piece. Watermelon, 4,000 yen per piece. Pineapple, 980. Do I understand correctly that fruits can be very expensive here? They are gift boxes. Shine Muscat grapes are considered a delicacy. Precisely these grapes? Yes, precisely these. They are produced mainly in the prefecture of Okoyama. It is believed that giving someone Shine Muscat grapes from Okoyama is like giving a bottle of good whiskey. 24 years old. Yes, when the Japanese go to someone's house, they give fruits. It's for that reason there are so many fruits in gift packaging here. You can buy them and go to a birthday party. Look, for example, a box of apples. Of some giant apples, it costs 3,000 yen. A melon and 2 bunches of grapes, 7,800. For those who want melons, here they have 2 packed like babies. Very pretty packaging with a golden rope. It costs 12,000 yen, almost $100 for 2 melons. Here are the grapes to give as a gift. They are grapes from Okoyama Prefecture. and a pack costs 5,800. 4,800 per pack. And here the grapes from Yamanashi Prefecture cost 2,000 yen. This is how much the place of origin is important. The best grapes come from Okoyama, the most expensive ones. They are from Okoyama. 5,800 for this box. And this one costs 4,800. It is smaller. Well, actually there aren't many grapes there. It's a small pack. Japanese pears. 5,000 for Japanese pears. And melons for 2,000. They're cheaper here. Saturday morning, there's a line on the bridge. Today's Sunday. It's Sunday morning. They're walking somewhere. They already bought something. A queue begins here and it stops here. How polite. They suspended here because there is an entrance to the building. It says here that a queue must break here. Are they selling something special? Why are there lines here to this bakery? How long it takes them to buy this bread? 2 hours? 2 hours to buy a loaf of bread? The bread is very delicious, but next month this bakery is going to close. Here it is, the bakery shop. Open since 2015. It's not that it's legendary. An incredible old man came here. He's so elegant. Hello. There's a line, gentlemen. You have to line up there on the bridge. I can't imagine how delicious the bread must be for me to go for it at 7 in the morning on Sunday and only get it at 9. By the way, in Japan, it is unlikely to see fights in lines. First, there are lines everywhere. People are used to them. Second, the Japanese are very non-confrontational. That's how amazing the Japanese are. If you decide to go to Japan, I hope this video helps you understand the locals better without getting into uncomfortable situation. If you like this video, don't forget to like it, leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Also, upload this video to Reddit and send the link to your friends on WhatsApp.